everybody. Welcome to Workforce Bonus Content. This is the content that didn't make the cut of the Workforce episode, Corporate Stockholm Syndrome. And now I'm going to be talking to Heidi Wechtler and asking her, what is Corporate Stockholm Syndrome and why do people stay when they have Corporate Stockholm Syndrome in jobs that they do not have to? Let's see what she has to say and what insights her research can give us.
So that comes from the psychological perspective of Stockholm Syndrome, when people develop a form of attachment to the abuser, and it's just translated to the workplace when you can see that your leaders, for instance, your manager, or maybe like teammates, for instance, whatever, who the people could be around you, you perceive that as abusive, but still you identify yourself to them. So this is something that we wanted to explore in particular. Yeah.
So can you give an overview of your paper regarding staying in work against the odds, investigating Corporate Stockholm Syndrome?
Yes. So what we know is, we know that people can stay in their job although they don't like their job. Like, we know that for a long time, and there would be plenty of reason why. We can explain that quite easily. So we know that if we do not take only the perspective of the elites, the talents, or the privileged perspective, right? Like, most of the time people go to work because they need money. Okay? They need money to sustain themselves, to sustain the family. So it's not so much about if they like that job, they just need a job. So the fact that they stay in a job they don't like is something that we can understand from a financial perspective, for instance, or from a guilt perspective. You have invested a lot of money into your education, or your family invested a lot of money on you in your education, and now you feel forced to, do that job which is associated with your education, and you don't like it, but you feel like you cannot really go backward. Some people might stay in the job they don't like just because they don't have enough opportunities. They don't have the qualification to move around and to try something else. And some people might just stay in a job that they don't like because they feel stuck. So it's really a concept of stuckness. I can be, for instance, a single parent and I have custody issues, so I cannot just say, well, let's go. I just moved to a different country and I tried something different. Maybe I need to take care of my elders, whatever that would be, or maybe I need the grandparents to help me with, the childcare and all these kind of things, so that my system can work. So in fact, the satisfaction of the job is not necessarily as central as we thought it could be. So all of this is just to understand that those people, they might have the intention to, they might wish to leave their job, but they know they will never do it. So it's just more like a dream of this job they don't like, but they actually do not go away. What we wanted to try to do is to try to understand a little bit further, what if we have people really hate the workplace and the leaders, the people they are working with, and what happened in that case? So we didn't want to separate the people who have intention to leave or the person who underperform, because we know that the person who want to leave tend to be the ones who are not so happy with their job. So there's nothing new here. What we wanted to do is to try to understand the problem, taking the problem the other way around, in focusing only on those who feel that they are not treated very well at work. So they perceive their work as destructive in some ways. And this could be in many different ways and take different shapes. So for instance, we could look at employees who perceive their leaders as abusive or authoritarian, or the workplace is very controlling with very little space for independence and autonomy of thinking and trying new things. Or it could be destructive with a very large number of hours, working maybe 80 hours per week, which is not sustainable. So we know that they perceive their workplace as very toxic. And yet, so what we were trying to look at within those people, not all of them are trying to go. So some of them, they have no intention to leave that place. And which is even more interesting is within that group of people that identify their job as being toxic, they engage, okay? They do their best in their job. So this is what we were trying to explore, and we wanted to make the difference between the intention to stay and engaging, because we know that when we come to work every day, doesn't mean that we're really there. We can go to work with having relatively low trust or low motivation, low loyalty, maybe sometimes a little bit of neglect or knowledge hiding, playing dumb. In extreme cases, it could be even with explicit intentions to sabotage the work or the team dynamics. So without going this far, the most common scenario is probably that something that we start to talk a little bit more, and that